everybody. Welcome back to the Film Buds podcast. This is episode number 162, and my name is Henry.
And I'm Paul.
This week, we got a pretty good show for you. As it turns out, we have a review of the new Megan Fox action film Rogue, which is on VOD right now. And then we might touch on some news, like the Golden Globes just happened. We might touch on the Mortal Kombat reboot remake trailer, perhaps the District 10 announcement. And then we have a listener question, other stuff we watched. So, you know, the gist of it. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. Paul, it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
Thank you. Anything going on with you?
No, not too much. You know, Sane Show is releasing an episode this week. We've been a little quiet these last 2 weeks just because we had a little bit of an issue where a guest fell through, and it threw things off kind of after that. So beyond that, you know, just kind of hanging on, you know, same old. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I was telling you, I was kind of getting mid-semester burnout in my school program, but I mean, overall doing fine, you know, all considering doing fine. But yeah, looking forward to spring break and just prepping for the end of the semester and yeah, just ready for some sleep, you know?
No, yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Other than that, not too much else to mention, really. Nothing really podcast wise either. I guess one thing, since I had brought up the Mortal Kombat trailer pretty soon, it's not out just yet, but I am going to be releasing an interview with the composer of Mortal Kombat 11, the video game, on the Music Buds pretty soon in the next few days. So keep an eye out for that. That was a good time. And also he did Call of Duty World War II. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. Yeah, not too much else to mention, really, Paul. I mean, we got plenty to talk about.
Do we, though?
True. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get to it.
Yeah.
Let's get into our review of Rogue. And we do have a clip, so take a listen.
They're moving the asset. We go now.
Get down! You wanna take what's mine? Let's go!
We lost the Osprey extraction. We have the governor's daughter. I promised I would keep her safe. We have a militia group in close proximity. They will come for us.
I wonder what this place is.
No one here.
Okay, but where did they go? Looks like the driver was cut up and dragged out.
About what?
Okay, so as I said, Rogue is on VOD now, and it's directed by MJ Bassett, and it stars Megan Fox, Philip Winchester, Greg Crike, Brandon Arrett, Jessica Sutton, Kenneth Falk, Isabella Bassett, which I think is the director's daughter, Adam Deacon, and that's about it. And the synopsis is O'Hara is a mercenary leading a squad of soldiers on their mission to rescue hostages in a remote part of Africa. That's horribly written. Unfortunately, the mission goes wrong and the teams are stranded, forced to survive against the local rebels. So, well, this one has obviously made huge waves. You know, it's a hit for sure.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Megan Fox is an absolute, you know, box office draw for sure. I saw this one recently, and if you caught the last show, I just kind of shot it out of the blue for a review, and Paul was gracious enough to watch it.
Naive, foolish.
Yeah.
Unknowing.
Tomato there. So Paul, do you want to kick things off or?
You know what? I'll let you start.
Thank you. So as I've said on the show before, I tend to be drawn towards military and war films and mercenary films like this one is. And so I had a bit of an interest in this when I heard about it. I think Megan Fox is okay. I think coming out of Transformers, I think she seemed to get a lot more shit than Shia LaBeouf did. And I think they were both at about the same level for many reasons, but he seemed to kind of get away scot-free. Not as much these days, but but I tend to am just curious to see what she's doing. I think she's okay. I like her in Jennifer's Body. I think that's the one most people go to. She's all right in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. She's all right in that. Not really selling it here. But anyhow, I was curious about this one.
And how is she here, Henry?
Well, funny. I don't think she's, compared to everybody else, I don't think she's horrible. She doesn't, I think she kind of has a decent action hero presence a little bit. She's not Charlize Theron or anything like that, but I think she did all right as a mercenary. But I think it's everything else around her that is the worst. Like, and I think honestly, my least favorite part about this movie, I didn't totally hate it. I thought there were parts that were okay, but my least favorite part about it was that almost the whole movie takes place at night in one location. When it first starts out, it kind of seems like it's going to be this almost Mad Max trek across the desert. I was like, okay, I'm in for that. But they get to this house or this farm, and you're there for the rest of the movie pretty much. And it's at night. You can't really see much, and it really bogs the movie down. And so overall, I wouldn't say you got to rush out and see this one. I mean, if you're vibing with the mercenary vibe, maybe give it a look. Megan Fox is in it, but no. So I wouldn't say I liked it.
Henry, I don't know why you keep making me do these things, watch these things. I don't know what I did.
It's fun,
I don't know why this is my, Sisyphusian boulder, but I guess I'll keep pushing it. So this movie is, first off, I guess you're right. Megan Fox isn't necessarily the worst part, but that's because this isn't necessarily really like her character type, the way that it's done, like the way that it's written exactly. Also, this thing has like about a bajillion different production companies, which 100% means that this was like a lot of different people investing into it, kind of making this thing happen. This is very much sort of independently made kind of thing that managed to get its way onto VOD. And it's also on Hulu as well. If you
is
have
it? Okay.
A Hulu subscription. Yeah.
There goes my like $3.
So yeah, where to begin? So it's, I remember all the way back in college, Matt Barr once in a screenwriting class that I had with him started going on this whole thing about like specificity, right? And how it's important to be specific. The location is unspecific. It's just somewhere in Africa, and you can
remote.
Oh, good. I'm glad that we've clarified the massive fucking continent that is Africa down to remote.
Yes.
So, your location has to be to a certain extent like a part of a character, and like this movie, even on just like a regular scene by scene, moment by moment basis, has no sense of geography. I couldn't tell you where the radio house is within location to the main house, within location to the lookout stand, within location to the front gate. It's,
irrelevant.
Yeah, within relation to the little fucking house thing that ends up having the cubs in it and stuff. So this movie also suffers from lack of specificity with its characters, right? Everyone is just some sort of vague ethnic identity. And it's good to have your characters represented, but also don't just put people in there just to be like, oh, good, we checked the box, and it's even worse when also you have an Asian character in there and he's referred to by, Chinaman by at least 3 times,
Yeah. That was brutal.
Maybe not the best. So it's a straight to video movie. I guess if I could say anything, that's the best thing that I could probably say for it. And if that's the kind of thing that you're in for, is you completely accept that level. You actively are no, that's good for me. Bombs away, because you've got a great fucking movie with you with one of the worst CG lines I've seen since first, Resident Evil with its CG dogs. Yeah. So
it was terrible.
Oh my God.
Now, how do you feel about Megan Fox overall?
Okay, so first off, actually, this is a great opportunity for me to address the second issue that I have with the movie, which is that, so Megan Fox is fine, right? Megan Fox, I enjoy well enough in certain things. I thought that she was fine in the first 2 Transformers films. I think she gets away a little bit sort of beaten up because of the bad press that she got around, her comments about Michael Bay, but also she was a young fucking kid at the time. So
yes,
she runs her mouth. She's famous. It runs viral. Things go wrong, It's a learning process. So I think that she does fine here. The issue is that the character isn't necessarily written all that well for her. It doesn't find a way to, I think, help get her into the character. And here's another big issue that I have with it. And she uses fuck pretty indiscriminately in a way that doesn't have any sort of, artistry. Quentin Tarantino movies have F-bombs aplenty in them. But they're impactful usually, they're used sparingly, they're used organically. Here, people are just sort of dropping it into sentences. It feels very much like, late high school, early college, screenwriter who just, had the brilliant idea to start using fuck in their screenplay. And, everyone's guilty of it. Everyone's written one screenplay. Everyone who has written a screenplay has written one screenplay where they swore too much indiscriminately when they were young.
Yeah, been there.
Get it out of your system. So, it's fine, but that's how it feels here very much. And so, she's sitting here and she's saying all of these lines and she doesn't feel connected to them in any kind of way. And, I think the big issue is just they needed to go through and retool it a little bit with a little bit of warmth, because I don't think that she could play completely cut off. It just comes across as flat,
Yeah.
And so I think the movie is just all right. Another big issue that I have is at the very, very end. Can we talk about the message at the end?
Please.
Okay.
Spoilers ahead here.
Yeah, spoilers ahead. So at the very, very end of the movie, it turns out that opening scene that you saw where you see a whole bunch of lions get, viciously killed and hunted and butchered and slaughtered. At the very end, it's like, hey, loads of lions are poached legally every year. And, they use all of these bullshit terms and ploys to make it sound like it's good, but really it's shit conditions and terrible and bad for the animals, which is important and a good message. And I'm fine with that. But here's where you hit sort of the rub, right? Movie Jurassic Park 3's us. We've got the raptors chasing us the whole time, and they're meant to be our sort of horror character, our villainous, almost Jason Voorhees-like force of nature, unescapable nature coming to punish you, blur, blur, blur. And then at the very end, it's like, oh, it's because of the babies. We have the babies. And I think that for me, that message at the end kind of landed a little flat, because also we've had these animals, be these sort of, ruthless, or this one lion. I'm not sure if it's one or two lions. It's a little non-specific. running around, being one of our primary kind of antagonists for our heroes for a majority of the final act of the movie. And then it's like 30 seconds of motherhood, and we completely forget that she ate the Russian guy. And, I just think that the ending of the movie landed a little bit wonky because they took the thing that they were trying to use as the message of like good things and used it as like a horror symbol kind of thing. Same issue that Fallen Kingdom has. Your dinosaurs for so much
Great
of that
film.
movie are meant to be, horrific and things that you should be afraid of. But then also, they're meant to be our big metaphor piece of why we should be saving them. And so it feels like trying to have your cake and eat it too. And I think that they needed to find a way to cut the fat and have the animals be the thing that mattered more instead of having them be the thing that was, also adding to this very kind of rote, indelicate, to a certain extent, kind of very vague Islamic terrorist militia in Africa.
Yes. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, because I mean, with the movie, it is, as you said, it is like you're just watching people get mauled. And now with this kind of movie, how like in slasher films, how you wouldn't want to necessarily watch a different version of the movie where the characters aren't being killed.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is in this. Like, everyone is already so kind of either annoying or terrible. They're just kind of waiting for them to get killed off. Yeah. But therefore, that message of the lions always attacking them doesn't really work because it's like, okay, so should we care about these animals or not? I mean, they are killing people who we kind of want to be killed. We're rooting for that. But nevertheless, it's still the message is a bit iffy.
Yeah, it gets, I think, a little conceptually clunky.
Yes,
he's planning, or he or she. I'm actually not too sure. The director, she's planning a second movie that is called Endangered Species.
Sequel?
No, it's about a family who goes out on safari and their safari vehicle gets overturned by a rhino that's protecting her calf. And they end up stranded out in the safari, out in the wildlands.
Another single location?
Who knows? And they have to now survive in a location where, to quote, I think the synopsis officially, they're the lowest animal on the food chain.
Oh.
So that's the planned sequel. So this is clearly like this director's niche.
Yes.
I looked into her a little bit. She's done a lot of. She did one movie back in like 2001 or something called Solomon Kane that had, oh God, is it James Purfoy? I think is the lead. And she's done quite a bit of television. She did a lot of like Ash versus the Evil Dead, the TV show.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of that show?
I have, yeah. Love it.
I like it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So I just think that I think the first thing that needed to be addressed was the script. I think it needed to be given some specificity so that way we could be a little bit more clear about who this group is, where we're located in Africa, what kind of geopolitics we're dealing with, just by putting it somewhere in Africa, we can at least kind of, go like, okay, what are we dealing with here? And I think that on top of that, they then needed another pass. I think you're right at the characters because they often, I think, didn't interact the way that people should interact. And I it was so obvious. It was so telegraphed when we were also going to lose one of these people.
Right.
It couldn't have been more much like a horror film. And that's kind of the weird thing. Like the movie is a shooter, military, kind of style film, except for this little bit in the plumb middle where it's like Act 4-ish kind of, where it becomes a slasher.
Yes.
It's lit like a slasher film. It has that very much like we're kind of more in a horror aesthetic thing. And you constantly know when a character is going to go. So, I just think that it needed, the concept isn't the problem. It needed tweaking. It really needed hammering out, I think, a little bit.
It does have some Predator vibes for sure.
Yeah.
But it's tries to play it too much in a realistic world to where it doesn't really work.
Yeah, and also my favorite stupid death, probably of anyone. Let's play a game. Favorite stupid death.
Oh.
I'll go first. So my favorite stupid death is, it's not how he dies, but it's what leads to the circumstance of his death. So I'm counting it. It's a slow burn how he dies. Is Bo, the Asian guy who witnesses what I call the elephant ballet.
Oh yes, I was thinking of that one myself.
Yeah, so he sees
very
the
Terrence
elephant.
Malick.
Let's do some whimsical imagery right here. And so then he dies while monologuing to himself,
Yeah.
What would your mother say about this, Bo? Oh, well, she'd say, turn around. Oh, damn.
You sure tagged him.
Wow.
No, that's what I was thinking about. Also, it's not a death. It happens in the first act. There's this weird, it's this very cheesy kind of slow motion. When they're jumping off the cliff, and it's like Megan Fox and someone else, and it's like this. It's not full slow mo. It's almost like, it almost reminded me of like MTV slow mo, and it's this very jarring, jagged, kind of cheesy slow mo, and that's when I knew it was not going to be a good movie. Actually, I knew before that, but that's when it immediately left a bad taste in my mouth.
No, yeah. The other thing about the movie is I feel like also maybe the message rang just a little bit hollow for me as well, given that at the end of it, literally the only people left standing were the white people. I think that also maybe took a little bit of the steam out of it for me.
Sure.
Because like at the moment that I saw the other woman, I was like, she's not making it out of the first act. And I was right. And so like, then you just kind of watch, the obvious ethnically ambiguous funny guy who's going to die very quickly. The Slipknot, if you will, of the whole thing. For those of you who have seen Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
The guy that is absolutely just there to be the first person to die, to shock the audience. So that way they're like, oh my God, death is all around us. But
Also, Adam Beach is great in that role. He should have been in it more.
But so it's just kind of I think that's the moment that I also knew that like it was going to be a bad movie, was kind of like once they were like in the scene where they were. I think that this was kind of the switch over for me where I was like, this isn't going to make the turn, which is when it was the slow motion for you. It was for me the talk about how like we don't have enough space for these girls, and like the entire dialogue scene that happens when they decide to save them, and then our hero is like, I'm going to be so pissed if I die because like I decided to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Great stuff. That was the moment for me. And look, I know that I'm hitting on this film pretty hard, but like
Paul hates
it just I think that every movie should be as good as it could be, and I just think that there is a better movie inside of this one that we didn't get to see.
I agree.
Also,
because like this kind of movie, like the setup is fine. Like I could totally like a movie like this and like others similar to it. So that it was just the execution was not.
No, and I think that sometimes it's great to get a star, but maybe also sometimes like we don't get the star, and instead we kind of try and see what we can do with that money elsewhere.
Yeah.
If we go one rung down.
Well, Paul, considering the action-based nature of the movie, it's too bad we couldn't get a Machine Gun Kelly in there,
Oh my God. He'd have done it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's disappointing because it's just disappointing. I try and come up with something else, and at the end of the day, that's just how it is. I started watching it and I was like, wow, this opening's pretty like, fuck you and in your face. And then we kept going and I was like, oh, okay. And then
Henry.
No, yeah. And then I was like, he really just keeps making me watch things that I want to stop watching.
Yeah.
while I'm watching them.
Yeah, that's my gift. But no, I'm in agreement.
Would you have finished this one either?
No. Although, wait, actually, the thing is, I saw this before we had agreed, so I did finish it.
True.
Under no,
penalty of death. Yeah, you actually did choose to watch it.
So I guess I can't say anything there, but yeah. Well, anything else about Rogue?
No. That knife fight was pretty gnarly out of nowhere. We didn't have anything quite that graphic.
Yes.
And so that one was pretty bad. It kind of reminds me of like Anaconda.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it has some. Yeah. For sure.
It's kind of like Anaconda. If you like Anaconda, you might like this.
Yeah. All right. Well, out of 5 stars, Paul?
A half.
All right. I'll go. Damn.
I'll go 1. Fine. Fuck it.
I'll go.
It can have it.
Maybe a light 2. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. All right. Well, I guess we can touch on some news. So the Golden Globes happened recently. Paul, neither you nor me watched them.
No.
But there were some good winners from what I saw. Did anything strike you as great or wrong?
I mean, I guess I wouldn't say necessarily that anything struck me as wrong. Were there, I guess, some performances that I would have liked to have seen win? Certainly. I wanted Mank to get more.
Oh, yeah. It got shut out, right?
Yeah. Nothing. It didn't win Best Picture. It didn't win Best Actor, which I'm fine with, honestly. Gary Oldman has enough hardware. He doesn't need more.
Yeah.
And then it got shut out also for Best Supporting Actor with Amanda Seyfried. It got shut out with Best Director. And I think it got shut out at Best Screenplay. Yeah. So that's a bit of a shame, but I'm glad that Daniel Kaluuya won. That really got me hyped. I'm good with Soul winning.
Chadwick?
Yeah. I'm good. I'm very happy with that one. I'm very content with that one. I could go either way on Borat winning.
Same. Yeah. I'm glad Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross won for Soul.
Yeah, well, they were up against themselves, kind of.
Yeah,
so.
I do kind of wish they would have won it for Mank, though. I think that score is better, but,
Yeah, I think it's just kind of an either or, because also the Joe's stuff that John Batiste did gets tied up as part of their soundtrack as well, and I do think that he did some really, really beautiful work with the music that he created for Joe. So either way, though, it's a win, I think.
Yeah.
But I didn't watch him.
Yeah, I was glad, and I should have said it on our best of show. I was glad Mark Ruffalo won for I Know This Much Is True, the HBO series or mini series, because and one thing I should have said back then is, of all the movies that I saw, that mini series was my favorite piece of entertainment of last year. So I'm glad he won for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, as far as the TV stuff goes, also, I certainly haven't seen loads of the TV that was nominated. Good for Schitt's Creek. I mean, it's a powerhouse at this point. Yeah. It's more of a question of, when doesn't it win? I don't know. There's so much content out there. And this is, I guess, something that we've talked about before, right? There's so much content out there that it can sometimes make it a little bit tough and a little bit, it's almost like trying to track YouTube content at a certain point, right? Like scroll fatigue hit you back when it was just Netflix. Now you've got scroll fatigue, pick your flavor. So it certainly is tough to keep up. I'm not saying that none of the stuff that was nominated or won is undeserving or anything like that, but there is just so much content out there And there are so many pieces that have shown also that like a lot of the people who are in award season stuff haven't even seen a lot of this stuff, and that it's a pretty crooked kind of scammy thing, you know. There's a great piece out there, I've talked about it, where Harvey Weinstein waged a prolific war against Saving Private Ryan so that Shakespeare in Love could win.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, and you know, you look at this year and there was all of the hubbub over the fact that no one involved in the Hollywood Foreign Press Association was black. And so, you know, I feel kind of meh on award seasons, and like I didn't have enough time to watch all of the stuff this year. And so honestly, also in the middle of a pandemic, I didn't feel the award season spirit, you know?
No? Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I didn't see Nomad Land, which won. I haven't seen even seen Borat yet, and then I didn't see, is it Minari, the foreign film? I haven't seen that, so I've been kind of slacking, but I will at some point with all those. So yeah, I'm in agreement there. I don't think anyone is really. Yeah. So. All right. Well, you want to touch on Mortal Kombat, Paul?
Sure. I guess I'll take this one away. So,
please.
I have played Mortal Kombat games, though I am not a Mortal Kombat fan. I don't really care about the lore. I know that there is lore. It's not for me.
I wouldn't worry.
No, and like also it keeps on getting sort of rebooted, you know, because like what was it? Mortal Kombat 9 was kind of like a reboot in its own way, and then so was, or was it 10 was? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Someone I'm sure listening knows. So I've seen the old movies, which are terrible but hilarious, but terrible. Mm-hmm. Those are the right kind of bad. Have you seen them?
So funny thing, friend of the show, Sky, he actually had me on last year to review the first one, but that episode never came out. I have no idea why.
Oh,
and
weird.
So I did see it for that reason, and I'm in agreement with you. I haven't seen the other one, but I have seen the first one.
Then I saw the Mortal Kombat like web series that came out. Did you see that?
No.
Okay, there was this web series that came out. I'm blanking on the director. I could probably like look into it real quickly if I wanted to right now. And it did really well. Like you were able to go and buy this web series on Blu-ray for a short period of time. And so, and it was pretty good. Like, you know, as far as Mortal Kombat content goes, like I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was fun. I thought that it had the right kind of campy, but still taking itself seriously, energetic kind of energy. And I really liked it. And then season 2 came out, and I fell off on season 2. It was called Mortal Kombat Legacy, and it was developed by Kevin Tancharoen, Todd Helbing, and Aaron Helbing.
Okay.
And it was directed by Kevin Chantaronen, uncertain on that pronunciation.
Sounds right.
And so season 2, I think, ended up having some recasting, and it got a little bit bigger. And for some reason, I just like fell off with it. I don't know why. I never saw season 2, but I liked season 1. And then they announced like, you know, a Mortal Kombat movie, and I was like, yeah, maybe. And I saw the cast and I was like, yeah, maybe. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, fuck no.
Sure.
How did you feel?
Well, first of all, one thing we should say about the movie, because we were talking about it last week, it's produced by Hollywood king James Wan, Paul.
Uh-huh.
I mean, of course, we have to be excited for that. In terms of the Mortal Kombat world, I played it from time to time, never religiously. I don't know any of the lore, and so I really am pretty removed from it. I think parts of it are interesting, but for the most part, even in terms of the games, it's rare I play purely like just fighting games. I prefer more like story campaign kind of based games as opposed to something like this. Nothing against them, but just personal taste. I think the movie does not look very good, sadly. I think there are parts of it that are interesting. I mean, I guess the big thing with this is that there is the R rating, and there is going to be a lot of blood and gore, and a lot of limbs flying off and all that, which is fine. It can be fun, but really, I'm just so worried that we're going to get to that movie and there's going to be so little to offer. There's going to be a few minutes of really cool fighting, and then the rest is going to be plot. Then it's going to be punching. And it's just, I'm not really, it's not one on my list for sure. I'll see it. But no, I don't know if I'm excited for it as others may be, sadly.
Well, I think that this, not to disparage anyone's body of work or what anyone does for a career, and I'm sure that he's very good at what he does. But I think that where you can kind of get a little bit of headspace on where this movie's being made from, where it's coming from, where it's at. This movie is being directed by a guy this is his first film. It's a feature film debut. And he is most known for doing commercials, in specific commercials, the live action commercials for video game brands.
Oh, so we're going to have a Suicide Squad kind of situation.
So to me, it almost feels like we're getting someone who knows how to make this look right on screen. However, that does not mean that we are getting something that is good. It very likely means that we are getting something that is very much designed to be a product.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. And also, one thing I noticed, is the tone. It's pretty serious for the most part. And I feel like if it's more than 90 minutes, it's going to be a slog to get through. Because that plot, unless you're completely tied into that, it's going to be really bland and overly complicated. Probably. I haven't seen it yet, but I am worried about that dark tone that it's just going to be. I have a hunch that it's going to be very monotonous.
Yeah. Also, I'm not sure what the budget is of this movie, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was low, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is noticeable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that one comes out in April, so keep an eye out for that, maybe.
Oh, don't you worry, dear listeners and Henry, dear co-host. I'm already working on, so that way we cut out on some of the back and forth of, well, what would you like to do this week, Brian? Of the end of
my favorite
part. Well, we can keep at it, but I'm going to go and I'm going to come up with a calendar that has some options for us to draw from of what's out around the time, what sounds good, some throwback hits, and I'm going to put together a whole calendar so we can at least make it a little bit more focused every week.
Paul, that's not what people like.
Well, I'm trying to cut down on the number of rogues I have to watch in a year.
No, I appreciate it. But maybe we could have once a year we could have Henry's Corner. It's just I choose something,
we'll do it every third or something. Okay.
It's the one we have zero listenership for.
Honestly, since you didn't do the first Mortal Kombat, maybe sometime around the new one in April, we'll go and either release that episode or bring Sky back on or something like that.
Yeah. Be very meta to have him have on for this one. So yeah, that one comes out in April. And then I guess we can touch briefly on the District 10 script announcement by Neil Blomkamp, who of course did District 9, Elysium, Chappie, the best film. And he's been trying to get a few films done or financed, but a lot of them have fallen through. And it seems like this could have the potential to get made, considering how well District 9 did. but he has officially said there is a script for it, and he's, working on it and trying to find the right time to do it if he can. So, Paul, any thoughts? We haven't talked about Neil Blomkamp on the show yet.
No, I like District 9 quite a bit. I think that it's fun. I think that it's exactly the movie that he wanted to make. I think that he and Gareth Edwards kind of come from that same, I feel, vibe of a guy who had a big budget movie and ended up doing a lot of the big budget effects themselves. Gareth Edwards with what was it, Monsters?
Right.
And then Neil Blomkamp with District 9. I love the movie. I think it's great. I like Elysium. I think that it's fine. I think that it doesn't hit as hard in any kind of way. And I think that Chappie is fine. It's the least of the three, but I also don't think that it's quite the disaster piece that like a lot of people try to play it off to be.
Yeah.
It's got some okay things in there.
Yeah.
Execution may not be perfect.
Prime choice for Henry's Corner. But no, go ahead.
So, I know that he had talked about maybe doing District 10 as a book. I know that there had been some talk of him being like, oh, well, maybe I'll do it as a TV show. I think even at one point he was like, maybe I'll go back to the District 9 universe in a video game. So he's really been, I think, all over the place with it. So I guess my hope is that he finally has the idea that he wants just as much as he had the idea that he had for District 9.
Right. No, I agree. But yeah, that one, of course, is not even being in production yet. So, that could be a long ways off, but we'll keep you updated if there's anything else from that. Paul, any other news comes to mind for you?
No. WandaVision ended this week. Raya and the Last Dragon comes out this weekend. Not next week, but the week after is Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yep.
I couldn't be more excited. No, I guess not too terribly much in terms of like news that I can think of. Nothing that really, I guess, strikes me. Disney's doing a price hike for Plus, but that's unexpected.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we can move on to a listener question. So the FilmBuds podcast at gmail.com is where you can reach us at. Also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at FilmBuds, and also at thefilmbuds.com. So you can just follow us there and keep updated with episodes and fun posts. It's very active. And so, yeah, please, if you're a new listener or if you've been listening for a while, please send us any questions, comments, whatever. Love hearing from you. And the one we have this week came, I think, about a week or two ago since we were doing the other shows. So thank you for your patience, listener. This one comes from Mia from Toronto. So a little bit of an international audience there.
Good. We got further out.
Cross the border. So she says, with the world in tatters, do you think that 5-10 years from now, there will inevitably be an influx of COVID, election, conspiracy, and possibly natural disaster movies? Every generation has their troubles. That's true. But do you think this will cause an increase or a decrease in quote unquote true story entertainment? Mia. Thanks, Mia.
Yes. Thank you, Mia from Toronto.
Yes.
Henry, why don't you start with this one?
I think there's going to be. Things are so crazy right now. None of it is good, really. But I think that whether it's because of money or because people are so mentally off now, that I think there will be an increase. I mean, look at like with 9/11, we had 5-6 years after that, we had Paul Greengrass's movie United 93. We had World Trade Center. Even just a year or two after the Boston bombing, we had Patriots Day. So like, I think that with events like that, and then having had many films, many TV shows, whatever, I think we're definitely going to have a lot. I mean, already we've had that movie Songbird, which is a COVID-19-esque movie, of course, produced by Michael Bay. That's out already. I know Adam McKay is working on a COVID-19 film of some kind. So I think that for better or for worse, I think we are going to have an influx of, especially, I think maybe even more so COVID, I think election and conspiracy stories, I think is going to be huge, probably. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But I think there is going to be, whether it's 5-10 years, whatever, I think there is going to be a bit of a increase in true stories of the 2019, 2020, 2021 years. Paul?
No, I think that's completely fair. I mean, we already see, and we've talked about it a little bit on the show, I think we've already seen kind of like pop, if you will, pop history, pop event sort of movies show up, like, things that are ultra, and I don't mean pop in terms of like them not being stories that should be taken seriously, but popping up in terms of relevancy, right? We're doing them with immediacy, without a lot of sort of looking back in any kind of way. I think that we saw that not looking back in any kind of way, but without any gap between when we're looking back and when it happened. And you see that with movies like Bombshell, the Roger Ailes.
Oh, yeah,
movie. Yeah. That movie, that event happened, and then you had the movie, and I think you also had like the TV movie with Russell Crowe.
Oh yeah, I never saw that one.
I think there was also a TV movie for it at the same time. The movie about Comey and all of that, and Trump and the CIA. And so we're already seeing a lot of movies that are being sort of made to immediately address it, which I think is one a little bit ludicrous. We don't have anywhere near kind of the information that we would necessarily need, I think, to really accurately discuss it. And we also just don't have the space away from it. It's kind of like talking about like a relationship right after it's over, or like a loved one right after they pass. Like, you don't have anything resembling perspective. And so I think that you'll definitely continue to get more of those kind of direct telling of the stories. I'm not sure that we'll get election conspiracy movies. I mean, we'll probably get a few. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of capital assault movie happen at some point.
What about disinformation?
Yeah, for sure. Probably. I think that's already kind of a, I think it's already kind of a theme that's been a little prevalent. And I think that certain movies that have come out recently have actually had the foresight to kind of, very, very subtly, work in a lot of themes that when you go back are actually even more timely to now than they were back when you first saw it. I'm hoping that any of the movies that we see coming forward that choose to use some sort of allegorical something in lieu have taste, I don't necessarily want like the cabin fever horror version of COVID. I think, like maybe I'll get catharsis from it, but also like I just lived it. So
yeah. I mean, and this is the thing I should say, even though I think there is going to be an increase, I don't want them. That's, I should specify. Even though I think there is going to be, I wish there would not be.
I think there are other themes that we could pull from, other themes, other topics, other ideas that happened in the right now that we could pull on for content. But yeah, we're definitely probably going to get a lot of this, more than I would like. I certainly already hate that TV shows are putting it in there because it's obviously the easiest way to work it into your TV show that suddenly everyone's wearing a mask, blur, blur, what have you. But personally, even for me, it's a little bit like too soon. I'm living my COVID life. I don't want to watch my characters live their fucking COVID life.
Mm-hmm. Same. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's going to happen, but I'm hoping it's either not too soon or too, I hope we don't get drowned in these stories, I know people need an outlet and it's going to happen one way or the other, but I hope it's nothing too crazy.
Yeah, and I hope that people come to it with a perspective, with something to say about it, other than just like, COVID sucked and the government did nothing. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's the new Netflix movie.
Yeah, I was aware.
Yeah.
Can you tell me something different? So.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good question, Mia.
Very good. Thank you, Mia from Toronto. Let's see if we can beat Mia from Toronto. Let's reach further.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's our furthest, I guess, most recent since our announcement of the countries.
So listen, you lazy sons of bitches, if you have the time to listen to this, you can, while I'm yelling at you right now, go on and you can go and ask a question. Yeah. I've given you more than enough time. You can do it right now. Yeah. You can prove me wrong and make me shut the fuck up about it. If you just go right now. Yeah. And ask a question. Thank you. Right now. Like dear Mia from Toronto. Yeah. And again, you can do that. The Film Buds podcast at gmail.com, at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Film Buds. And all of that is in the show notes. So if you need a little clarification or spelling, it's right there for you. I do it specifically, Paul, for that reason. I don't know if that was obvious, but Henry is helping you people out here. Yes. I'm begging you. Cool. Well, I guess we can end off with our picks of the week. Paul, I guess we haven't done it for the last couple of weeks, or at least the last 2 weeks we haven't done it because our show has been a little different. Have you been checking out anything recently? I've still been keeping up with WandaVision. It's great. Not too much. God, I don't know what I've watched lately. You know what? I watched FernGully recently. That was fun. You ever seen FernGully? No. It's Dances with Wolves or Avatar or, that kind of plot, but it's got, it's a Don Bluth, I think, animated movie. I think it's DreamWorks. And it's got Robin Williams as a bat that's been tested on by humans. And it's got Tim Curry as an evil spirit that feeds on chemicals that was housed inside of a tree that breaks loose after land clearing machines destroy the tree. So it's an old 90s film that I grew up watching. So it's not, outstanding, but it's a nostalgic favorite. And I recently watched that one. So that's my pick of the week. Okay. I have a couple things. I've been rewatching Monk, the TV series, which is on Amazon Prime, which I love. I grew up watching it, and so it's been nice to go back and check it out. So if you have not seen that and you like good detective shows, check out Monk. And it's got a lot of heart in it. It could be very emotional show, and Tony Shalhoub is really good in it. Then I rewatched Signs, which is also on Amazon Prime, which overall I still enjoy. That reveal at the end just kills it. I mean, that CG is not good, but everything else leading up to that is great, I think. The opening credits, amazing. For one thing, just kicking things off. But no, the overall movie is good. I'm looking forward to his upcoming movie. Then I rewatched Ad Astra, the Brad Pitt film, which I reviewed on the show way back when. And I liked it a little bit more this time around. I think the big thing that still irks me is there is way too much voiceover. It really intrudes on the movie and the kind of calmness of the movie. But overall, it is really interesting. Paul, have you seen this? No, I have not. Okay, I'd be curious to see what you think. But yeah, still not like a masterpiece like some people claim it to be, but liked it a little bit more. And then lastly, I rewatched Shrek the Third. Paul, oh God, you seen this? Yes. Okay. The movie is not amazing overall. The high school sequence is, I love it. When they go into the magical high school, it's great stuff. But still, I love Shrek 1 and Shrek 2. I'm a big Shrek fan. And so I guess I have a bit of a soft spot for this one. It's not a brilliant film. I wouldn't rush out to see it.
but it's got a couple moments. I was laughing, Paul.
Well, I'm glad someone was.
Yeah. So that's it for me, I think, sadly.
All right, not bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that about does it for the show this week. Now, next week, Paul, I know you had brought up some ones last week to possibly do, and I know that you've already just mentioned some new ones coming out. Is there anything in particular you're looking at? You're feeling?
Right now, I'm leaning toward you and me trying to do a WandaVision review.
Okay. I will get busy then.
All right.
Yeah, so that sounds good for next week, WandaVision. And since, as we said, it is completed now, then we'll try and review the whole show. So rather than just, the first episode or two. And so definitely tune in for that. It's going to be great, I'm sure. And yeah, well, Paul, man, I mean, it's always nice of you to take the time. And thanks again for watching Rogue.
Yeah, no, at the end of the day, there are worse ways to be spending my time, I guess, I bitch about the movie, but, I could have been doing something far more unpleasant.
A few.
So,
Yeah. Cool.
I was glad to do it in the long run, and I'm always glad to be here.
That's good. All right. Well, yeah, we hope everybody enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one, folks.